I'm telling you this, I don't monitor cars too closely, but I do happen to be around when the conversations in the office are happening, when Karthik and the team discuss vehicles going on, and I'm not hearing consistently good Tata Motors stories. I'm hearing that there are challenges, there are niggles, there are issues, there are small things that are increasingly adding up to an experience that is not as flawless, smooth, and premium oriented as it needs to be. And I'm talking about the big cars and the small cars. And I am worried because I'm hearing this across products and products and products. They are a very successful company right now. But if these are the stories that you're hearing, then the success will not last. And I would rather see Tata and Mahindra, for example, succeed than have issues with this, which is why I think they need to raise the standard internally and say it is not acceptable for us to have a car that is in any way inferior to what an Indian perceives as Japanese quality or increasingly Korean quality or German engineering. You cannot be behind on any of these three things. And to me, this is not a price game, and it's not going to be for very long. We are going to value the experience a lot more than the price very, very rapidly. But changing cars that kind of rapidly is next to impossible. So if you don't start now, you'll be left behind then. So honestly, I'm telling you, as much as I do not monitor this segment, I am really worried.
The point that people keep making is that, it's okay, they'll catch up, it's going to happen. Just think about it this way. We had this conversation, I think, when we spoke about the BYD Seal. BYD started off in the early 2000s, which means after Tata. We can argue on every front that they would have had support from the government locally. China has a very strong policy for that. Yes, but the point is, these are your rivals. If you have to take them on, and today, let's be clear, we've spoken about this on the Royal Enfield front. Royal Enfield has to be successful in India if they want to be successful globally, because this is where they sell the most right now. So economies of scale come from that. So if Tata Motors wants to be competitive globally, they have to be competitive in India, which means they have to be world class for the world and for India.
And if you start drawing a line between what is world class and what is acceptable for Indians, you're losing a battle, you just don't realize it yet.
And making these excuses for ourselves to defend a company that's Indian, I get the emotion of it, but you're not doing anyone a favor when you do that. If you're going to keep doing that, we're going to stay in this little bubble, and one day it will burst. And it's not going to be good for anybody then.
Eventually, one day you will realize that you want a better product. And then you'll realize that Indian companies haven't evolved enough to be able to offer you that better product. And then you will be torn between your patriotic feelings and the idea of, I just need a better car. And if that leads you away from the Indian brands, there's nothing the Indian brands can do about it, except regret the fact that they didn't pull up their socks early enough and be in a better place later. That's it. That's all there is to it.
And when we were talking about the Swift, you said there's not going to be a Swift Sport, which is the one brand that you would have bet on to do a proper sport job. It would have been Tata. Right?
They tried it, and they tried it very briefly for whatever reason, but they were willing to experiment with it back then, when the JTP days happened. And I know it only lasted 3 months, whatever. Today is the right time to do all of this. And to me, this half-hearted racer thing is honestly, I'm telling you, I'm convinced that this is the first of X number of variants to come that will solve the issue that you're having, which is I like the idea of this car, but I hate the stripes and I hate the contrast. Okay, it's going to be solved in the next 2 months when Tata launches the next 26 variants of this car. I don't think this is a great idea though.
Because what this should do is create a subset. It should create a avenue for a new audience.
It should create a substance-oriented differentiation in the product rather than a cosmetic-oriented, let's get some sales kind of thing. I mean, how narrow is your view to say, I'll repaint this car and I'll push the sales a little bit until we can do something else? Which is what it sounds like to me.
Like, think about it, right? Like when we talk about the N line, what does the N line mean to us? Nothing. We didn't know what an N line was, but we knew what an N was.
Correct.
And we came to know what the N first, and which is why then we respected the N line.
And because the N line is not a cosmetic version, it's not the AMG kit, and it's not the M Sport kit. It didn't add a spoiler and a chin spoiler and nonsense, right? They did change the suspension, which does change the character of that car when you drive it. It makes you feel a different thing. Imagine if Hyundai hadn't changed the suspension and you get the i20 or you get the N-line body kit, which makes the i20 look sportier. We would have told you point blank saying, if you like the spoiler thing, okay, spend that money. Otherwise, save your money and just get the base car, because it's just as good a car with all of those features. So why the hell would you spend extra money on it?
Right.
The difference is coming from the fact that there is a substance, there is a feeling which is changed. And if the Racer edition doesn't change that, the Racer name is a throwaway thing. Pour your heart out. You have 60 seconds. Too little? Try 120. No, too little? Okay, 3 minutes. Yeah, we can't do it either. That's why we have the main motoring channel. And this is a clip from a much longer video that discusses this idea in much, much more detail. This vehicle in great detail. If you'd like to see that, you'll have to head there.